Okay, here we go. So I just want to put this up here in case you guys want to jot it down. I'm SH on Twitter. This is my real email address. Don't take pictures of me with my mouth open and post them on the internet. We have an agreement here. Okay, so what do we do at Co-Support? We teach companies of all sizes, whether it's people in small dev shops or like huge, giant legacy corporation brands, how to create better customer experiences. And that is everything from customer support, writing help docs, having better tutorial videos, thinking about onboarding, it's hiring, it's also brand messaging, brand strategy, all of this kind of stuff, literally that everything but the code. So we also wrote a book called the Customer Support Handbook, and 3 or 4 times a year we have a big conference for customer support professionals that are mostly in web, mobile apps stuff. So I got started in this because about 10 years ago I started working for a software company, and that was kind of in the beginning stages of SaaS, cloud companies, whatever, really emerging as a new business model. And the company that I worked for particularly didn't really care for their customers very well. They didn't really like their customers, made fun of them publicly, blogged about how dumb they were, made a lot of arrogant decisions in marketing, proclaiming we should say no to feature requests and we should teach customers how to work the way we want them to work. And that drove me nuts. So about 6 years ago, I started my own company to teach people how to do better, more empathetic customer support, basically. And honestly, like this is kind of my mantra everywhere I go. I think about how customers are perceived, how customers are used, how buying decisions are made. I do a lot of research about customer personas that we end up teaching to the companies who contract to work with us. Because like I said before, customer support isn't just replying to an email. It's not just posting a reply tweet, and it's not just having a status page. Lots of people think that they're like in the forefront of customer support because they have a status page. And that's awesome, and I'm so glad you do, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. How many people here are independent developers? They are contractors, or they do not work for a large company? Yes, you're my people. You're my favorite people. I can do the most damage and the most good with this kind of people in the audience, because all of the stuff that we talk about here, you can actually go home and implement and actually try and see if it works and iterate on. Whereas if you work for these large corporations or these large brands, it's a lot more difficult to get in the doorway trying to steer them in the right, more modern direction around customer experiences. So we're going to talk about 2 things today in 2 different segments. The first one, empathy, big buzzword right now. Who's sick of hearing it? Anyone? Yes, I knew you'd say that. Empathy is just sort of like, be nice to people, treat them the way you want to be treated. That's not what empathy means. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're also going to talk about paying attention. So these 2 things, how we can be better in the world and how we can make the world kind of a better place. This is my big ideology right now. I love technology. And I love people who make technology because I am not a logical, technical thinker. I love the work that you do. It fascinates me. But I'm also very afraid of things like chatbots. And I'm very afraid of, macro templates and autoresponders. I think all that stuff is amazing and can be so useful building businesses, but it's being done so poorly right now. So that's what I want us to get in the habit of fixing. So, like I said, we're going to talk a lot about research. My talk is full of statistics. It's full of facts like this one. This is, an undisputed fact like this. If there's anything that you want to talk to me about, please come up to me. Please talk about it later. I'm really excited talking about this stuff. Let's move into this. How many of you guys know your Myers-Briggs type? How many people have taken the test, the Myers-Briggs test? You guys know what it is. Anybody in the room think that that's like pseudoscience bullshit stuff? Yeah, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. That's okay. You can be wrong. I'm letting you be wrong, but you're still wrong. So in this room, because these are developers, I am guessing the majority of you are introverts. True? Nod? Yes? Is anyone here who like seriously is like, I'm a fucking extrovert? I said, fuck. If you are, I don't think you are. We've already talked about this, Patrick. Can anybody really concisely give me the difference between an introvert and an extrovert? Just say it, like spit it out. Anyone know? Exactly. But Also a little bit wrong. Here's the difference. I love you. You're great. You're the best. Great shirt. Awesome hair. Wrong. So the difference between introverts and extroverts is the neural pathways that they use to process information, okay? Any way that you process information does deplete your dopamine in your body. You do need to recharge, and the way that you recharge is different based on which neural pathways you use. I'm talking super fast because there was no coffee this afternoon. So introverts use the longer neural pathway to process information slower, less quickly, in a more thorough way, with a greater depth of understanding of all of the consequences of the thoughts that they're processing. Whereas someone like me, an extrovert, I process through a shorter neural pathway more information. It's a gimme approach, and I'm processing less thoroughly and with less of a greater understanding of the consequential actions of all of the things I'm processing. So introverts make amazing software developers. They make amazing scientists and doctors and engineers. All of the great, beautiful, wonderful advancements in technology and medicine and science have been done by INTJs, INTPs, and INFJs. There's an overabundance of them in the industry, which is why you might feel like everyone that you know is mostly like you. Whereas in the industry, there are very few people like me. So many of you are very thankful for that because I'm a nightmare to work with. As a developer, someone like me is kind of like a parrot on your shoulder. What about the customer? What about the customer? You're like, I'm trying to make money. Leave me alone. So in my world of customer support, marketing, sales, training, development, there's an overrepresentation of people like me. Extroverts who think they feel more than they think, and people who also are gathering research information, processing it to think about who the core customer is, what are their needs, and how we can build better for them. So, anyone confused about that? Did I talk too fast? Can I say fuck? Is that okay? Okay. Okay. I apologize in advance if you're super offended by that. So, the other thing to remember too about this whole thing of ENFJs versus INTJs is that at one point when the Myers-Briggs test kind of came out 60-something years ago and they started to be used in colleges for people to find out what career they wanted, there was a 5 to 6% of our population that identified as my personality type. Very outgoing, more feely, more thoughtful about other people, the empathy stuff. INTJs, however, were more rare, and they identified as more rare, and they felt more rare. What we're seeing now that these tests have been more modernized and they've evolved and they've kind of the industries have grown. There's a much broader industry for people to be more involved in technology now than ever. There's actually more people who identify the introverted thinking side than there are people who identify extroverted feeling side of things. So that means there's more robots roaming the world right now. These kind of wetware androids out there, these people that I love, are started doing a lot more work and a lot more present, which means that everything that they're touching is becoming a lot more thinking oriented and a lot less feeling oriented. When we think about famous INTJs, we think of this guy. Not necessarily the historical character, but this one that Benedict Cumberbatch plays. He's an amazing, fascinating character. Or this guy. Who knows who this is? Yeah, exactly. He is an archetypal INTJ. And that's why I'm telling you, Patrick, like when people think that introvert versus extroverts means social, loud versus quiet, controlled, that's not always the case. This guy, INTP, so he's not even human. He knows what emotion is, but he doesn't process it or indulge in it whatsoever. And so when I started doing research on this stuff to learn about customers and to learn about how do I speak to developers, I wanted to know, who am I? How did they see me? And so who are some famous ENFJs? Really? Seriously? This guy? He's a monster of a person. He's not even a humanoid person. That's who I get. So great, let me keep going into historical ENFJ characters. Another one, he doesn't exist as a human being either. And then I get this one, I don't even get the good brother. I get the sad brother on the horse. Like, seriously. See, well, you're an introvert. You'd think that. But this is what I get to. When we think about characteristics of an ENFJ versus an INTJ, you guys have all the favor and all the luck in the world because you've done a lot more than my people have ever done. We have this stuff, and I have an ENTJ in my life who I love dearly, and I asked him, how do you translate this stuff? When you get this from me, what does it mean? And this is how we are translated through that long neural pathway of an introvert's mind. So first of all, rude. Second of all, that's how I think about you and all your stuff. So it's not just me. But really, we think about what are the opposites of these things. These are actual personality traits that more introverts, more thinkers have. That's why you're so great at the work that you do. You guys are able to pull together code and science and innovation and thoughts and ideas and human behavior and pull them into building something like an app or a product that people can buy that is useful in their lives. I could never do that. A lot of people say that the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that an introvert would go through a field of wildflowers and observe each flower in its state and smell it and think about it and draw it with watercolor pencils. Where, an extrovert is just going to run through the field, disturbing everything rolling down the hill and not even notice that there's flowers there. When it comes to customer support, you may not be the best person for this job. I'm sorry if that's shocking to any of you. How many of you guys have ever had to do customer support for your app? How many of you loved it? Because it was awesome. Like how quickly, it was so quickly. You loved it. You loved it because it was your product. It was your baby. It was your thing, right? But most people like you, the minute they could hire someone to do support, you're out of there. You're done, okay? So that's okay to me. The reason that's okay to me is because you guys can do other stuff. But what I want to teach you today is how to fake it till you make it. That's how you fix the problem. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, personally. I think you can focus on what you do best, and you can also focus on what you can improve easily. So, empathy. We talked a little bit before about how a lot of people hate this word these days because I think there's a lot of pressure in this word. There's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of judgment about what does empathy mean. Well, you're not being empathetic to your customer, your customer, your customer, your customer. When I think about empathy, I think about this state of things. And you'll notice that I don't call it customer service. There's a reason for that. Customer service to me is the return line at Walmart. Or it's just sort of like being asked every single time I go to Target if I want to sign up for a red card. I don't want your card, right? Customer support, however, is a very different methodology of building a product, a business, not just an app, but everything else around that with a customer in mind. It's this idea of being transactional versus being more relational. Customer support, it's not a transactional experience, it's a habitual experience that a customer has with your product every day, especially people building apps. Every single day, someone opens that app, they look at it, they use it, they punch the buttons, they close it, they go back to it. That's a habitual experience. So you have to think about defining that experience, start to finish, from when you name your app and you choose the design and you color the icon and you put it in the App Store with the description and the art and the video, all of that has to do with customer support. A transactional service like methodology, pretty standard. This is what most people do. 98% of the people in the world doing customer support do something like this. There's just this transactional element to the service that the customer gets. Whereas relational support and building with empathy for people has this differentiator here at the very end. If you think about it, the customer doesn't have to contact customer support. We don't have to do support if we think thoughtfully how we build, how we educate, how we put things out in the space for customers to gather from us while they're using our products. How many people in this world would love to never have to answer another customer support email or tweet again in their life? It's possible. It's absolutely possible for people. The other thing to remember, too, with all the research that we do about customers have baggage. Not just this kind of baggage, even though everybody has this kind of baggage. We do research, and we do polls, and we do, surveys. And what we've gathered in the 6 years of doing customer support training is that nobody ever wants to have to contact customer support ever again in the rest of their lives forever and ever. Amen. So, if you guys watch the Oatmeal or read the Oatmeal, he has this amazing comic about customer service that rings super, super true and is super sad to me because I'm working really hard to improve this space. People are used to coming in and just fighting for attention. They're used to calling a number and just 0000000 until someone picks up. They're used to going to Twitter. Twitter's like the small claims court of, customer support now. It's like the Judge Judy of that's all I think about. It's the only reason people go to brands on Twitter anymore. It's like American lines, hate short women. That's all they do. And so when we build with that empathy and we build our support systems and being mindful of the problems people may have, this ends up happening a lot more than us defending ourselves, copy paste, I'm sorry on Twitter, right? Empathy is not just putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I had slides backwards. Sorry, I already said this part. The best method of customer support is building things that don't require that support, thinking about how customers will use it, thinking about what their needs will be, thinking about the questions they'll have, thinking about the problems that they'll have. And that doesn't mean building a flawless app. It means building around it, right? Thinking forward for solutions that people will have based on your own experience, based on what you would want to happen, based on what you want from the experience you have with your customers. Everyone here should really only want to interact with customers when they get the receipt from them and when they get a praise or a review or a beautiful message from them about how you changed their life. That's it, right? Everyone agree with that? Is there anybody here who's like, no, I want people to complain. That means I've done something right. Okay, you're wrong too. Empathy works both ways. Everyone feels better when they feel like an experience has been customized for them. That's why products, Apple products or the Apple experience or Nordstrom's or even like the old days of Zappos, that's why people clung to those because it felt like it was something that was done intentionally. Empathy is saying, you don't think like I think, I don't get the feely squishy thing, but I'm going to try to think how you think to build something that works best for you. And the other thing that we have to remember too is that people are buying this shit. They're paying us money. And so if someone comes to my door and they say, I want to give you money every day for 6 months, 9 months, I want to do something to give back to them to earn that money, to earn that loyalty. That's how we pay our rent. That's how we pay our bills, is with customers' loyalty. And we know that customers these days are super fickle. The small claims court thing is real life, unfortunately. There's so many options for people. So a huge way that we gain back all of that loyalty is with that beautiful customer experience. Properly planned, well executed. If you want to take a picture of anything, take it of that one. So how do we do that? Here we go. Paying attention to the world we live in. I do this every single day. If we talk about what's the first thing that you can do to create a great customer experience as independent developers, what comes to mind? Anyone? Nothing. Okay. How about language? Language is the fastest and cheapest and easiest change you can make. It's free. It's easy. You can do it right now. It doesn't even have to come from the heart. It can be something totally made up, something that I make up and tell you to say, and it's better than anything you're doing right now, I guarantee you. I know this because this is what we do for a living. This is what I do for a living. There's no more demand for our business than there has been in the last couple of years, mostly from independent developers or people who don't have a large-scale support team. They don't know how to do this. It all comes down to language. There's no magic trick. We worked last year with an airline, helping them because they were voted the worst airline in America. So they call me, because that's like, my bread and butter a lot of the times. And they said, you have no budget. We can't make any policy changes. We're really not even going to support what you do, but try to make some changes in the next 6 months. I'm not going to say who they were, but in the space of time that we worked with them, in less than 60 days, we saw this improvement in their customer satisfaction ratings over email. We didn't change policy. We didn't give people refunds. We didn't change the fact that you have to purchase water on their flights, even if you need it to take a pill, this medication or a prescription or whatever. We didn't do any of that stuff. All we did was change what we said to people. We saw this kind of response. So I know that this works. Some of the things that we changed. We apologize for the inconvenience. This line, I hate this. I can't, I'm getting to the point where I've been doing this so long, I can't even look at it without wanting to barf everywhere. What about this one? Thank you for your feedback. I wrote an entire chapter in our book about that, why I hate that phrase. Who said that phrase to somebody, especially to a customer? Who said that phrase to a customer in a public forum or on Twitter, where I can go look it up right now and see that you said it? Everyone says it. It's the worst phrase in the entire universe. Feedback is a sound that like a microphone makes if it gets too close to something, and everyone ducks. Everyone's like, what's that sound? And that's what you're saying to your customers. That's what your words mean to me. Paying attention then is not just watching what is happening in the world, it's doing something about it, right? Some of the ways that I do things about it, I troll Twitter all the time for brands that are saying these horrible things, and I write them and say, you're awful. So this one, I don't know if you can read these because these are little, this is Delta, Obvi, Petco is on here, Hertz, Citibank, Ticketmaster, Comcast. I mean, they just win every horrible support award. Thank you for your feedback. T-Mobile and Taylor, Atlassian. We love Atlassian. Here they are using that horrible, horrible phrase. Amazon usually has amazing support, but I don't know who SG is. They should be fired. If you look at this, though, you notice that Bank of America Help was on both of those. I noticed that because as I replied to them, in the last hour, Bank of America says, we apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your feedback. They are a customer support super offender. Bank of America replied back to me, were you able to get your problem resolved? If not, I'd like to help. Which I said, I didn't have a problem. I was commenting on your robotic language that I'd love to help you fix. To which they replied, thank you for your feedback. So it's an infinite loop of terrible. It's an infinite loop of terrible. Let's talk about another customer support horrible situation that happened to me just a few weeks ago with Chase. I love Chase. Chase hired me 3 years ago to train their social team on how to do amazing customer support. And I thought I did a really great job because I went to the Virgin Islands for a month that year. But what ended up happening a couple weeks ago, I logged in to deposit a check. Their mobile service or their app service was down for maintenance. I don't know what kind of maintenance. I just said, I'll do it again tomorrow. The next day I log in, and this is what I see. Under my available balance for my whole life's work, not available. Are you kidding me? Do you know how frightening this is to someone who has 13 employees that have mortgages and children? What is happening? I run to Chase online. Some services aren't available on chase.com right now. We're sorry, we're working to restore it. Are you fucking kidding me that this is what they said? Nothing else the rest of the day. So people start asking them, if the website's down, can I still use my debit card? Yes, your debit card will still work. Only services at chase.com and the mobile app are unavailable. What? Well, when will the website be back from the weekend? It's Tuesday. I recommend clearing your cache or cookies or attempting to use another browser. Are you kidding me? And then this one's great. Doing business with you is a complete waste of time. What a shame. Oh, this is not the perception we want you to have. Can you please follow or DM your name, zip code, and more details? No. Now, here's the worst thing. It's so easy for people when I point out mistakes like this for people to say, well, that's an airline. Well, that's the bank. We're not those people. We're cool. We're the cool kids. We build apps. We'd never say shitty stuff like that in, a public forum. Here's Twilio's status page from 2 days ago. All of this stuff is engineering gobbledygooky feedback. API requests are no longer occurring in the latency for HT. What are we talking about? No apology, no human language. Rackspace. Affected users will experience failed login attempts upon attempting to access webmail. Chargeify. Wistia. Slack. Apologies for the inconvenience right there. These are all recent examples. The reason is because the wrong people are doing this job. The people who are doing this job aren't thinking the way they're not thinking in the words customers need to hear in those moments of absolute batshit crazy panic that your life's work is no longer in your bank, right? It's a wonderful life kind of thing. So how do you fix this problem? Does everyone remember what I said? Yeah, you should hire me to help you, but that's not the answer. How you make it to make it. That's the answer. This is the part that I told you. I usually do like, the same talk over and over and over. This is new material, but this part is not, because every single year, me and my co-supporters, the people who work for me, we go on this fun little secret shopping mission where we contact a bazillion companies with the same exact email. It's usually a feature request, and we gauge their responses. And we have a spreadsheet with tabs for every year that we've been doing this, and we average out the words that people are using when they write us back. Well, the first challenge is getting people to write back. How many of you guys don't respond to feature requests? Is that like a thing in here? Good. I love all of you now. Here's who wrote back out of that huge list. And you'll see before we had 72 more people than who's listed here. And here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 plus 15. You're the mathematicians. I'm not. I don't know how many that is. That's not a lot of people. And this isn't really good results, because let's go through what the average reply was. Hello, already I hate them. Unfortunately, we have no plans to add new features to our product at this time. We appreciate your feedback and hope that you continue to enjoy using our product. Reply to this email if you have more questions or comments. Sincerely, the product team. In a continuing effort to provide our customers with the best possible product experience, we randomly select customers like you to participate in surveys. Your feedback will help us enhance your future experience. Click here to take our survey. Gross! No! I hate this. I hate this average reply so much for a lot of reasons. One, I used to have a bunch of LG appliances in my old house, and every time you turned them on, they said, hello, because they were bots. They were robots trying to be people, and it was so annoying. Unfortunately, we start the whole sentence with the no. Then we say no. Then we say feedback. Then we say sincerely. And then we say feedback again. You have the balls to ask me to take a survey about you when you sent me this kind of bullshit response. Are you kidding me? I took time out of my day to tell you something you could do to make me want to use your product more, and this is what I get. Customers, especially when they write feature requests, they aren't harping on you because you've forgotten something or you didn't build something or you're not good enough. They're asking you to make ways for them to use your product more, to pay you more money. That's what they want out of those feature requests. And I know it's annoying and because it's sort of like a personal attack on what you've created, but that's not how customers think about it, and that shouldn't be how you think about their requests. So here's a better reply. Hi, Joe. Thanks for the great idea. It's one we've heard before, and we'll definitely consider it. It may not be something we're able to add right away, but we're always listening to our customers and trying to improve the product based on your real needs. So getting emails like this really helps. We also have a customer community you may want to check out if you have any ideas or questions. Let me know if you need anything else. I know, it's gross. It's super insincere. I didn't mean any of that stuff. I really meant the other stuff. No, go away, feedback, I don't care. But when I say it like this, a customer feels heard, they feel valued, they feel listened to, feely, empathy, money. That's what that means. If you thought that was too long and too squishy, here's some other examples. I'm going to have my slides in a PDF form. These are also in my book you can use, or you can just hit me on Twitter and be like, what should I say? And I'll tell you, and it'll work. Because we're app developers, we're the cool kids, we're building the future, we're technology, right? If you guys told me that you built an app and I said, oh my God, how do I get it? And you're like, well, you need to fax me your phone number and then I'll call you and give you a thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the crux of the issue here. If you're not okay using outdated and irrelevant technology for your business, why are you okay using outdated, impersonal, non-empathetic, non-human language when you speak to customers? So, fake it till you make it. Stop saying hello to people. I hate when people start emails with hello. It's so insincere. Thank you for your feedback. Stop saying it. We apologize for the inconvenience. It's not an inconvenience. It's a frustrating mind fuck of a day that you've put me into because I can't get this thing to load. Right? Think about it that way. Full words. Hi, thanks, I'm sorry, you're right. All this stuff that's very hard for people to say when they're not used to saying it and they're not used to thinking empathetically about another person. And of course, recognizing that people have thoughts and experience and ideas that they're sharing with you for a reason. That's like the best thing in the world. When it comes to customer support, the right support is not going to be prescriptive. I wish it was. Well, I kind of don't because I wouldn't be in business. But you have to really evaluate, even going back to all that Myers-Briggs stuff, who's your customer? What's their Myers-Briggs type? Are they male or are they female? Where do they live? What other apps do they buy? You've got to build your experience, your language, build the customer's experience based on what you know of them and what you want their experience to be. So what now? Oh my gosh, I'm out of breath. So this is what I think about this. I love technology. Like I said, I love introverts. I love INTJs, especially. You're my favorite people. You're my core power opposite. So I'm happy to buy you a drink if you want to talk some more about this. I believe in you guys, and I love the work that you're doing, and I'm really appreciative that you let me come up here and sort of like, word vomit all over you. I know it was a lot to deal with, but please come talk to me. Please see me later, and please definitely talk to me on Twitter if you need any advice about customer stuff. This is what I do. I'm happy to help. I'm super passionate about it. So thank you guys so much. Yay!